mean, I can set the mod thing up to auto ban that word. Hey,
Hey, we should be, I think we're live. I hope.
I hope so too.
Can everybody hear us okay?
Is anybody out there?
Bueller? Bueller? All right.
Dave says loud and clear.
Everybody's loud and clear. Well, we're good. Sorry for the late start. We're having a little bit of sound issues, if you might have guessed. You got that? It's good now. It is going. I guess we'll just kind of wait a few minutes and let everybody get in that's going to get in and just kind of talk. I can't see your questions, but I have James and Nate the Great over on the console that'll be passing those questions off to me. So we'll be good to go. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about the convention, CAVCon, the mini-con that we're going to do over Labor Day. After we do that, take a few questions, we're going to move over to the game table and do a little bit of a learn to play tonight. And then when we're done with that, we'll take some more questions, talk about CAV a little more, and go from there. So, but while we're waiting, if anybody has any questions or anything, well, I'll be glad to go from here. What do they say? That dead air is the death of shows.
People are commenting about the drop ship.
Yes.
Always the center of attention.
Always the center of attention. Yeah, I tried to put together a little bit of a pretty show here. Show some of the stuff that we've got going.
Dave asks if
those are the new stickers that are available with any order right now. If you make an order at TALON.games, we will stick a whole set of stickers in there for you.
As a matter of fact, I received my set today.
Did you? That's you should. Yeah, that'll be right, because I sent those out on Monday. 2-day delivery to Tulsa.
stickers included.
For what? If for on the Canadians, we can get them to you. It may take a little bit of a round trip, but best thing for Canadians, if you have an order, is just to email us and we can go from there. We can set it all up. What happens is with the Canadian orders, if it's not something that they have in stock, we send a box up there once a month. So that's what happens with Canadian orders. If something needs to be included in that, there's the delay depending on when the box is headed up to Canada. So generally we can get anything off the store that you need. There's just more of a delay if it's not something that they have stocked in Canada. Some of the stuff is because it's a limited run or we don't have a whole lot of it. That's the reason we don't stock both of them in Canada, because it ends up sitting on their shelf longer when we need it down here more.
So Colonel Kane, your earlier question about airspeed, it really depends on if it's an African or European
Swallow
version.
Right now, with the way that shipping is everywhere, I think it's all on a jumbo whale swallow or something, because nothing's going anywhere very quick.
Yeah.
If it goes outside the borders.
So Colonel Kane, it turns out that there are, I mean, if you look through the latest listing of models by faction, you'll see that there are a lot of drop ships in the list. Whether we're going to physically get all those or not, I don't know, but Almirathil has a drop ship called the Triumph. Obviously the Templars, or I don't know, is the broadsword Templar or is it generic?
The broadsword is Templar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two of them at least.
Every faction has a drop ship.
Every faction has a drop ship. Now we just need them to ship.
That would be true. Well, we'll see. We'll see as we go forward. Right now, we are looking at some different production methods, and hopefully we will have more word on that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Then at that point, we may be looking at doing another Kickstarter in October I'm not officially committing to that yet, but that's where we're at.
So
No, well, because then I got to keep looking down.
So are we allowed to ask
Yeah,
questions
yeah.
about potential
Ask
Kickstarters?
anybody can ask anything. All I can do is either answer it or say no comment. A true
In
politician.
your mind, is this Kickstarter a traditional Kickstarter like 1, 2, and 3, or is it a
It
specialized
is going to be a
Kickstarter?
much more specialized Kickstarter.
Okay, so a limited focus compared to the other ones.
It will spread around and try to fill in some holes. We've got some other things that we're planning to do with it that might include drop ships, more terrain, everything like that. We're trying to, right now we're waiting to see how our production cycle is going to go forward, because needless to say, getting anything out of China right now is slim to middling. And we have to work around that in the current situation that we all find ourselves in. And we're just going to have to make it work somewhere down the deal. But we should have all of our answers in the next couple of weeks. So we'll start. We are somewhat semi-planning on doing one as far as getting stuff ready. I just haven't 100% said we're going to yet.
So we're seeing questions in the chat about the potential Kickstarter. White Wolf asks, would it include vehicles that didn't make it into Kickstarter
Yes.
3? Dave asks, would the Kickstarter include a couple of factions or some of everything?
Some of everyone. Right now, the topic that we're kind of working around is, we're kind of calling it mercenaries, so that we have the ability to just go anywhere and do anything that we feel like we want to do at the time.
Enough people.
Sounds.
Well, hopefully we can get more people this time to join in. We need to, depending on what we end up doing and everything like that, it's going to be a lot different than the other ones, especially if we end up changing our production. Because right now we're looking at bringing in our own injection plastic machine and start doing everything here. That's what we're waiting to see. We're trying to figure that all out, if we can make that happen, and what it's going to cost us. My hope is to have China completely out of the equation.
That would be a titanic change in the way that you're able to do business. I think just as an outsider looking in, I mean, if you didn't have to wait for China to make stuff, you could have a monthly release schedule.
If we end up bringing our own injection in-house, this would be probably the last Kickstarter that we would do in this vein, because we would be moving everything into a regular release schedule rather than trying to pile it all up between Kickstarters. That's not to say we won't do some Kickstarters for some special items down the road, but that's where we're at on that.
So
20.
Go ahead.
We are doing the Starhawk 6 in resin in 28 mil. It's actually, we do 32 millimeter. So depending on how you want to look at it, it's close enough. It's not going to matter. But officially we do 32 millimeter. The model is done. We are waiting on trying to get masters produced. The 2 resin companies that we have access to, because of the same problems with China, a lot of people have switched over to resin to try to fill in some holes. And at this point, that's the reason our project is delayed there. But as far as the master and everything has been done, I don't have it here with me, so I couldn't show it to you, but we are getting close. All right, so if we don't have any questions right off the top here, let's talk a little bit, James, about mini CAVCon that we're going to do.
Absolutely.
One more question, okay, before we switch to that.
Where would you be? Where would you base your?
Dead center, Kansas.
Somewhere near
Center of the universe.
El Dorado, I'm guessing.
Right outside Wichita.
Random guess.
Yep.
There you go. Right outside of Wichita.
Yep. That's the reason why we have such great shipping, because we are literally 2 days away from everybody. For the manufacturing plant would be here. Yeah, we are actually in the process of buying land next to our current factory warehouse that we are looking at building an all new building over there. Not nearly as impressive as Reaper's new building, but a new building nevertheless.
Hey, any building that contains CAVs is pretty darn impressive,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, we are expanding our ground here and looking at putting a new building over there. We kind of have a
Awesome.
unique situation with the land that we have here, which I won't go into it and bore you to death, but that's the reason we're trying to pull a lot next to us so that we have a little more ability to build the way that we want to. So, all right, James, let's talk about CAVCon.
All right, so we're going to get together Labor Day weekend. I think
Friday,
it is
Saturday, and Sunday. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive up from Tulsa, and John and I are gonna play some games, do some painting, hang out, stream a lot, give people as much give people as much of a CAV experience as we can possibly give them. Gonna play some Meredith though. I've got a bunch of models I should be painting right now, as a matter of fact, but here I am.
I am going Templar, by the way.
Templar.
Yes. Yeah, because I
Nothing wrong
haven't
with
got a lot
Templars.
of the new stuff painted up, so I thought I would break some of that out and get to it. So, so basically, here's kind of what's going on. Is obviously we normally do CAVCon in conjunction with ReaperCon. With everything that's happened this year, you can all figure how that ended up. Reaper is also doing a virtual convention. We are not really part of that because I decided that the way that they're really working the convention, they are very much concentrating on the fantasy side of it with the more painting styles that they do and everything like that. So I kind of felt like that sci-fi in general and CAV we would kind of get bumped and not have nearly the resources if we do it ourselves. Now, with that being said, I kind of didn't really think we were going to do it till like a week ago, and then we decided to go ahead and do it. So that's why it's kind of off the cuff. Hopefully, we will have some more stuff planned between now and Labor Day. I am talking to some other people to do some events. We actually picked up a sponsor that contacted us, RPG Dungeons, down in Carrollton, Texas. So if you're looking for a good place to play, that would be, make sure you get contact with them. I know they're going to donate some gift certificates for us to give out during the show. The plan is every hour, we're going to give away something. So I'm not going to tell you exactly when it'll be because we'll move it around. So that way we don't have everybody crowding it in at the same time every hour just to get prizes. But we're going to start off with the campaign system that I introduced a couple of weeks ago, where we're starting to play test it and try it out a little bit. So we'll talk about that over the next couple of weeks as we build forces and stuff like that. I am going to kind of start on Tuesday nights doing a terrain talk paint show. So you'll probably see me work on those a little bit. I think James has talked about doing some casting on the channel. True or not?
I might give it a shot. I'm a very humble person, so I'm not sure anybody would care to watch me paint, but I think I can do it. Sounds like fun.
There's a lot of people out there doing it, and I think you can do it as well or better than anybody out there. All you gotta do is put a camera where you're working and go for it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good for me. Cross my fingers.
Yes. But I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be crazy. We will ramble on. You may get the chance to watch us eat. There's no telling what's going on. But hopefully we'll have some other people jumping in to help us out a little bit. If anything, we'll just be rolling dice and blowing
up
each other up.
calves.
Yeah.
Yep. So Sparks Murphy is signed in from Australia.
That would be,
that's got to be the furthest person.
that is Mr. Tom
Surely.
Buttery. He is actually one of our sculptors.
I thought it might
Yep.
be.
Yeah, he's worked on actually several of the stuff that was in the last Kickstarter, and we're moving towards some of his other models that he's done that we're getting ready to release. So we've got those to look for. We have so many models to do that we've already got files and we're ready to go. We're just trying to get our production squared away. It seems like every time we take a step forward, something happens and we take two back. Missing out on the convention system season this summer was not cool at all.
So just a quick summary from chat. Gimli asks, is there going to be a life-size Dictator bee outside the building? And I'm not sure life-size is the right size, but you've got a big one, a big Dictator.
I do. We printed out I think he's about 3.5 feet tall. You'll probably be seeing more of him between now and the Labor Day weekend show. My intention is to have it finished, assembled, and at least primered. I don't know if I'm ready to. It's going to be such a monumental paint job to get it to look right, because I don't want to mess it up, because there's no do-overs on this one.
It's a great opportunity to employ some stenciling. I mean, a model that big is just asking for you to mask it off or apply some of those.
Yeah, no, you'll be able to do anything you want on it. I mean, it's literally this tall and this wide, so it's awesome. Big. I'm having a little bit of problems at the waist. He's a little front heavy right now, so I'm kind of working on that a little bit. But it took us 2 months, I think, to print all the parts for him. So unfortunately, you can't put him all on at one time. So
it is a big model to work on.
But we'll have, like I said, we'll show him off during the convention for sure. I can't tell you how far he'll be painted. Maybe I can get him primered and at least get a base coat on him. So we actually did the canopy in clear, so you'll have that. I'm putting lights in it. I'm trying to talk myself into putting sound in it too, but I don't know if I'm going to go that far.
Sound. You could put that in the base, right?
Yeah. No. Well, what we did is we made the back of him. He opens up. He's got a door on the back, so all that slides in there.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will work. Make it all go. I know I got it.
Yeah, you could almost just hire one of those car painters to come in and paint it for you.
Well, that's the good thing about it. I mean, it's so big how you can paint it with spray cans, because your ability to tape him off and do different things. You know, you don't have to use the airbrush to go in and do the final detail on him, but all the base coating and stripes and everything like that, hell, we can just use rattle trap cans.
So Colonel Kane is asking about when the flashpoints are going to be released.
Well, we are close. I know that everybody's heard that for the last 2 years. Unfortunately, I got started on it and it was going to be a little project like this, and it turned into a project like this, and then went to this. So 95% of it is written. The campaign system is kind of going to be the bones for the scenarios, and that's the reason we are sticking that out right now, to get people to test play and for us to see what works and doesn't work, so that we can adjust scenarios in the flashpoint for that. The first one is Terrans versus Rock. So
traditional.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm working on a second one too, that's Adenese and Ritter, but it's going to be a little different than the first one. But it just turned into a really, really big project. It really snuck up on me. I keep trying to add and do this and change things because there's a lot of there's a lot of background history of the rock and the Terrans both. Not to mention the around the planet where most of the scenarios will be centered on. But it talks about a lot of different things. So I'm really excited to see it. I want it to I want to get it out there as fast as I can. I would say hopefully maybe by the end of September. It's that close. So definitely before the end of the year, but maybe by the end of September. Depends on the Kickstarter too.
So for anybody in the chat who might not know exactly what a flashpoint is, can you give us like a sentence or two summary of what a flashpoint is?
The flashpoint is what we're going to use to advance the story. So you've got the basic of where we're at in the universe with the rule book, with everything that came in that. Each flashpoint will jump us ahead through 2 months, 3 months, whatever that period of time, as it affects different things in the galaxy. We are building towards the first galactic war, so I'll throw that out there, and the flashpoints will build us towards that. And then once we go into that, there's no telling where we'll end up. So I think everybody will be somewhat overjoyed with the way things turn out. We'll see. The Adanese guys may not like it, but hey, it is what it is. So anything else we want to try to touch base with right quick before we switch over to the game board?
So I just want to let everybody know that John was kind enough to print me out some of the new Cobras and King Cobras that he's previewed in the various social media platforms, and send me some of them to include in my Almirathil force. I didn't get a chance to get them assembled before the stream tonight, but I'm going to clean them up, and I'll take a lot of really good pictures and post them up in the CAV HQ Facebook page and anywhere else John wants me to post them. And I'll definitely get started on painting those this weekend, and I will post lots of photographs of them so people can enjoy them. They are spectacular. I don't know if anybody's ever heard me basically say that CAV was freaking awesome before, maybe once or twice when I was talking with Ross Hines. But these models are some of the best CAV models I've ever seen. I look forward to seeing everybody's reaction to them, and I'm super excited for everybody else to get their hands on them. They are spectacular.
Did you especially appreciate the fact that I left the supports on there for you to clean off?
Well, I figured, probably you did that just for me.
For
I hope the rest of the customers will.
Off.
Yeah, those things are. I'm terrified. I'm always going to tear them off and take a part of the model with it. So I'm super careful with
it. It can happen, but after a couple of days after they set, they're not nearly as bad. But little clippers go a long way. So.
Dave's asking about the Journal of Recognition. Any update on that?
Yes, it is 80% done. We've had to change 2 or 3 times on how many, what models were going to go in there as we grew and it changed and everything. So we are just finishing up. The actual journal is written. Everything's done. It's just artwork, because we are physically going through and doing renderings, color renderings of every model that'll be in it. There'll also be a painted version of every model in it. We're finishing those up. There'll be color schemes, there'll be new units introduced, there'll be background information, lots and lots of stuff. It's another project that went from that thick to, like that thick. But I think it'll be a better product. The problem is, as I was talking to, I think James I was talking to the other day, I need to figure out how to clone myself, like 8 or 9 more of me, and then we would get a lot more done. But
yes. Okay. Before we go over to the table, just real quick, Sam Roku has asked a pretty interesting question in chat. He wants to know, is there an in-universe date in service stat for the growing variety of units? He's trying to fit them into a campaign narrative. So I think he's looking for a timeline of when various units are available in the context of the campaign or the narrative of
as
CAV?
far as actual models.
Yeah, so it's like when did the Banshee become available? When did the Dictator become
Well,
available?
that'll all be in the Journal of Recognition. So
All of it.
yes,
Awesome.
you basically, if you go back and look in the rule book where it's talking about calves, it talks about the Tyrant being really the first true modern calf. So what that year is until now, which is 2274, 2275. That's the spread you're looking at. And but their Journal of Recognition puts that in there. It'll tell you every year when the first one was put out. So with lots of new variants, we're still working on lots and lots of variants. That's one of the things that I want to try to avoid is I don't want there to be 2,000 different models. I don't know where we will exactly stop, but we tend to add a lot more variants. That way you can use the same model for all of them, or if you're feeling really froggy, you can change stuff out and clip them. And that's a great thing with plastic. You can buy 2 or 3 plastic models for what one of the old metal ones cost and chop them up and move them around and have pieces to do all kinds of different things with.
Yeah, it's a great thing about CAV. You can get into this game for cheap. It's compared to the other games that I won't mention any particular names, but there are certainly more expensive games out there.
Well, and that's the deal. If you don't have the rule book yet, if you don't have any models yet, we're always running a good special at the talon.games site. Buy the book for $39.99. We give you your first squad of 4 figures for free that you get to choose from the different factions, and that includes free shipping in the US and Canada. If you are overseas, you can order a lot of the stuff directly from reapermini.com. They do not do the same special that we do, but they do have the ability to ship across the world. So, and we stock quite a bit of materials in the UK. So especially for anybody in the UK, almost everything model wise and rule wise is available there with pretty quick shipping.
So Chit Chat 66 asked a question about, is there a chance of any new metals?
Yes and no. I always like to try to do 1 or 2 a year at least. Generally, we do one for CavCon. We do one for a special event or something during the summer. We did more this year already than we would normally do just because of everything that was going on. So we released several models already. I think, what did we do? 6 or 7 this year, I think, in metal. So, and then brought the older version of the Tuseki back in metal too. So, we've done a lot of metal this year. Going forward, we are not going to do more than 1 or 2 a year. It's just not there anymore. Everything that goes with it, the cost associated, plastic is to the point. Once it's painted, you can't tell. I mean, if you got the stuff in the last Kickstarter, it's got the detail and the durability of metal, and there's just really no going back to metal as a full line of figures. Sorry, you never would have thought you'd have heard me. I was a metal guy, do or die. I never thought that I could switch to plastic, but I'm all in. The plastic, we've worked with it. It took us 3 Kickstarters to figure it out right. Because there's no books, there's no manuals. For so long, everybody did all the soft plastic. Luckily, we went out and found the hard plastic. So that got transferred over to the Bones Black with Reaper. They saw what we did with the original Enforcer, and they liked it. So that's where your Bones Black comes from. And hopefully, if we bring our own production in, we're looking at some other things too that I think will make it even better. We will see.
Yeah, and the sculpting, I mean, it's just gotten incredible. The Kickstarter 3, So I owned an old metal duelist from back in the day, and then of course I ordered some duelists from the latest Kickstarter, and I love them both. But man, the plastic ones are better. They're just amazing.
Well, one of the things that everybody that's been around the metal will remember is there was a scale issue. Stuff went small,
Yeah.
stuff went big. When we did the first Kickstarter, almost all of the figures were based off the old metal. We sent them the metal masters over there, and they scanned them and went from there. So it worked to. It's not as good as it could be. I think they are detail wise for the most part. I think once they're primered, there's very little detail from them and the metal masters that we had for what was done back then. For the second Kickstarter, a lot more of models were produced brand new. So we've learned how to build the models to take into account plastic. And then in Kickstarter 3, you saw that come to fruition. Everything in there was sculpted from new, changed details, fixed things, made sure scales are all correct, and I think we've got everything pretty close now. So I'm very, very happy with the way the Kickstarter 3 models turned out.
All right, John, you probably need to head to the table if you're going to do this
We're
tonight.
going to switch over and hopefully get through the learn to play right quick. So if you can keep everybody busy for a minute, we will do a little switching around, and I'll see you over at the game table.
Absolutely. So as we talked about earlier, John and I are going to get together in a few weeks and play some games that we're going to stream together. We're going to try out the new campaign. John is going to take his Templars. I'm going to take some Almirithil, and we're going to play the new campaigns. They're very objective based. I don't know if you've had a chance to look through those yet or not, but if you read his package, you'll see that almost every one of them can be won without destroying the enemy force. You don't have to go in and try and eradicate the entire force. In fact, it's probably better if you don't in a number of the scenarios. I'm looking forward to giving that a trial. Although the level of complexity there, like moving and trying to protect and discover the objectives, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be interesting. I hope to represent the Almirithil faction well. You're right, Colonel Kane. We do have amazing sculptors. They're not my sculptors. Chris Lewis is. I hope I get his name right. Is one of the primary sculptors. I know Tom Buttery from Australia also does some sculpting. I'm not sure who the others are, but they are fantastic.
In the main.
I've seen Chris doing some of his 3D design, and it's awesome. Will the older calves get turned to bones black? I've heard John answer this question in the past. I don't think they will. If I remember his reasoning, it was that there's something to do with the sculpts. They were just better suited for the white plastic. I think he's just going to do new models in the black. I don't think he's going back to cover those, but obviously I'm not John, so don't take my my words for law. Elven scum. Interesting. Okay. I guess that's directed at the Almirithil. Smog once more metal. Guessing Chandler's around somewhere. No, I am not John. I am James. Come on, Tim. You know that. Here we go. Now, this is the table where we're going to do the learn to play battle on. And the sunlit supernova. Now we can't see anything. Okay. All right. So he's just getting his mic set up so he can get started. Looks to me like it's going to be Just a CAV on a CAV. John's just going to kind of walk through some common situations. When you get post your questions in chat. I mean, if there's like something from the rules that you're not 100% certain, or if John does something on the table and you want a little more clarification for it, be sure and ask. They're saying turn off the fan.
Hold on just a second.
Mr. Bloody Lemming says the fan is quite loud. Very whooshy, Mr. Tim Bunn says. Colonel Kane has a question, but he's afraid of the answer. A little afraid of the answer.
Okay, is that better on the sound?
Bloody Lemming says woohoo.
Okay,
I take that to be
that is good. If you
much better.
if you
Tim says much better.
if you find me melt, it's all your fault.
John, you need more heat sinks.
I do. Well, there's a lot more lights over here, so a little warmer so everybody can see, but we'll get through it. Okay, now as far as the question about the Bones Black, we cannot go back and redo the models because the molds do not work for the harder plastic. So we would have to go back and basically start all over with a lot of molds. I'm trying to lose my voice. Great. Hold on just a second.
John's a little choked up. He's talking about the old models. He's got a lot of sentiment in his heart for those old sculpts. He loves them a lot. Just give him a second while he takes a tear away in honor of the ancient models.
Okay, let's try it again.
You still getting that echo, Mr. Lemming?
Okay, we're going to try it again. See if I can keep my voice from totally falling off this time. But one of the things that will happen, though, is if we do bring our production in-house, we will go back and redo some of the older models as new variants. I don't know if everybody saw the new Despot B that we've done, but that will be what you'll see. We won't discontinue the older models, but we'll bring new versions for variants forward that'll be redone. So that should fix that problem.
Appreciate everybody bearing with us. This is, the first real super live stream, so it's we're all learning.
I warned everybody to be scared. This is learned by jumping into the water and start paddling. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to have, that's like James said, we've got a little demo here with a dictator versus a dictator. We have the data card up in the top right corner that you can kind of follow along with some of the things that I talk about. There is also a URL on the top of it if you want to download the card. You can also go to the talon-games.com site and go to downloads. There's the quick start rules are available there for you to download, as well as the data cards and everything there. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to go through a few turns and show you how all the basic mechanics work out. So we do use cards for initiative. Typically, when we have multiple squads, each squad has a card. Since we've just got one model against another model, we can just use the deck for the whole game. Flip over the top card, either red goes or green goes, and then the other one goes. So we'll just swap back and forth. So let's go ahead and flip our first card over, and we have a red card. So red gets to go first. Every CAV has 2 actions, and he can declare how he wants to use those actions by either repeatable or non-repeatable actions. A repeatable action like move means that he can do it more than once. So he could do a move. Combat and a lot of others that we'll get through here, like targeting, lock, repair, stuff like that, are a non-repeatable action, so you can only do it once per turn. So looking at our data card, the first column that we're worried about is the 0 column. That is showing that he has taken no damage, and the statistics that are down that list are what his current stats are for what he has. So this particular CAV has a move of 5, an armor of 8, a close combat value of 5. He has 2 medium max. He has 1 light guided missile launcher on his left side, and he has a light rocket 10 on his right side. And the numbers next to those are for damage. If you see one number, we have hard and soft targets. One number gets applied to both of them. If you see a split number like medium max, the first number is hard target damage, the second number is soft target damage. So he's really good against other CAVs, not so good against aircraft and etc. So this guy here is going to go ahead and do a double move. Now, each move gives you 1 free 90-degree turn, up to 90 degrees. Any additional moves, any additional turns during that move cost you 1 inch of your movement. So, and if you're doing 2 moves in a row, you can use those 2 free moves anywhere you want. So with a movement of 5 total, he gets to do that twice. So we're going to move him ahead, 5 forward. He's going to make a 45-degree turn, and he's going to move 5 forward again. Now, right now, because we have this level 3 that's cutting across here, that blocks line of sight. Since they're both on the same level, we also have a light woods here. So now it's Green's turn to go since he used the 2 actions. And what he is going to do is he is going to do a move, and then he is going to do an indirect fire combat. So we'll go ahead and move him 5 inches forward. And even though they can't see each other because we're right on the line there, because it's indirect fire, he can still take a shot at the area where that particular model is standing. So we measure for range. If you'll look next to for the light rockets 10, those are the indirect rockets that he has on here. It has a range of 14 and 12. So 14 is short range, 12 is minimum range. So once he gets within 12 inches, he can't use this weapon anymore. But to get the next range band, to go from short to medium to long to extreme, you just add the range number to that. So in this case, his range would be 14, 28, 38, 42, 56, okay? So we'll go ahead and measure. In this case, he's at 21 inches, so that puts him at medium range. So he has no range modifiers for an indirect combat at medium or less. Because it is indirect fire, he doesn't have to worry about any of the intervening terrain. So he doesn't have to worry about the trees or anything like that. Because he is within 1 inch of this level 2, though, he does receive cover. So when we get into the attack roll, that might influence that. First roll that we have to make is the strike roll to show that we've got on target. The strike roll requires a roll of 10 or better, okay? In this case, any special abilities that they have at the bottom that would help is Wizzo, which is like a weapon systems officer. And the Wizzo adds a +1 to any strike roll. So we need a 9 or better. All right, we've rolled a 10, so he's on target. So we've landed here. It has an AOE of 1, so he's going to be the only one there that it's going to affect. Now we make the combat roll to see if he's done any damage. We use the short range combat number, which is 6, to see if we've done any damage. Because of the level 2, he gets heavy cover, so we need an 8 or better. In this case, we rolled a 5, so we weren't able to do any damage to him. So that finishes his turn. We'll go to the next card, and it is red. So in this case, we are going to move and then do a direct fire. So he's going to move 5 inches, and then he's going to turn. And then we have 2 max that we're going to shoot direct fire at him. You need to have a target lock in order to use guided missiles. We'll try to get to that here in a little bit, but because we weren't able to spend an action to do a target lock, we cannot shoot any missiles. So we go ahead and measure for range. In this case, we're at 18. Short range for the MAC is 12. So in this case, we're at medium range. So medium range base to hit number is a 7. It goes to an 8 because of the light woods, but because of the Wizzo again, it goes back down to the 7. So we're gonna roll 2 rolls. We're gonna do it 2 ways. I'll show you, because you can either shoot them separately or you can shoot them with one roll called a salvo. So we'll show you where the difference is. First off, we're gonna roll 2 numbers, roll twice for each one of them. We'll grab another set of dice since we're rolling multiples. We're looking for 7s or better. All right, so we have a 6 and a 5. So in this case, both of them missed. Now, if he decided that he wanted to do salvo instead, it's 1 roll, but you get to add an extra +1 for every extra gun. So in this case, because he has 2, he gets a +1. So the 7 now goes down to a 6. Because the Wizzo and the trees still cancel each other out, but because of the salvo, he needs a 6 or better now. So we're gonna roll on a salvo, and in this case, he rolls an 11. Now, this particular model, the MAC, has a special ability called Blaster 1. Blaster, in the game, you have a normal critical success, which are double 6s. If you roll double 6s on any to hit roll, you get to add another D6. Blaster allows them to get better rolls at smaller numbers. So Blaster works at 11 and 12. Blaster 1 works at 10, 11, and 12. Blaster 2 works at 9, 10, 11, or 12. So with Blaster 1, with an 11, he gets an extra D6 roll because of the special ability on the MAC. In this case, he rolls another 6. So now we have a total of 17 for our hit. We needed a 6. So we take the 6 that we needed away from the 17, and that gives us a margin of success of 11. We take that 11, we add that to the damage of that weapon, which is a 6, which makes it a 17. We then compare that to the armor, which in this case is an 8. So we have gone 9 over. 9 does 2 points of damage, which he will take immediately since it goes into effect at the end of this model's activation. This model is also now suppressed, which means that he cannot move forward towards an enemy, and he receives a -2 to any dice rolls while he's suppressed. He also has to make a piloting check. Normally it's a 6 or better. With a 9, it's a +2, so he needs an 8 or better to keep from falling down. Double 1s. So he falls down, and because it's a critical failure, he takes an additional point of damage. So, you can see salvo, sometimes only 1 or 2 numbers can make a big difference. Of course, he got some big rolls there, so that helped a lot. Some of the models that have 3, 4, 5, 6 can really do a big hit. Salvo is really good for range shots. It brings those numbers down. When you're up close and you have low numbers anyway, you're much better off to do multiple rolls. So red's done. He's done his 2 deals, his 2 actions. Now we have the green's turn. Now, if you look back at the data card, he is now on column 3. So all his stats have changed to these new numbers. So now he has a move of 4. His armor's down to 7. His weapons don't do as much damage either. They're down to 5, 2, and at 3s for the missiles. One action can be to stand up. He can do that any direction that he wants to. And in this case, there's not a lot of places he can go and not go ahead and try to take a shot now. So he is going to go ahead and roll. We know it's already medium range, so we need a base of 7. It's 8 because of the light woods. The Wizzo takes it back down to a 7. He's going to fire them separately, so he needs 2 7s. And he wants a 10 or better because then he gets this blaster to work. All right, he's got a 4 and a 7. So the 7 hit, but it gives him no help because that's exactly what he needed. So damage right now at 3 is 5. He gets no helper. This guy's armor is 8, so he hit. but he wasn't able to go through armor. And then that ends his activation. And actually, he would have missed that roll because of suppression. Sorry. So, because he gets a -2 for that anyway. So the roll wouldn't have hit anyway, but we're still good to go there. Okay. Red gets to go first. He's having all kinds of luck today. He's going to stand still. He's going to use his first action to do a target lock. Target lock allows him to shoot guided missiles. It also allows him to add his special ability of advanced target computer to his roll. So he is going to fire the 2 max and the guided missile. Because he's firing different kind of weapons, he is not able to do salvo. You either shoot one weapon and do salvo, or if you shoot multiples, you can't. You also use the range, the worst range, when you have multiple weapons. So in this case, the max are range 12, the guided missiles are 16. We are at 18, I believe, was what we were at. So that puts them both at mediums. So in this case, it doesn't really hurt. Base to hit number is 7. 8 because of the light woods. Goes back down to 7 because of the Wizzo, but it goes to a 6 because he has the target lock. So we're going to fire the max, and the guided missile is going to be the green. We're looking for 6s. All right, guided missile hits. Well, then we also have a 5 and a 4. Luck just went out the door for the Mr. Red. So the 6 is a hit. Again, though, because it's minimum what he needed, he gets no helper. Light guided missiles and light rockets on the Dictator are kind of harassment weapons. So in this case, damage is 4. His armor is 7. We have a hit, but no penetration. So red's done. Now it's green's turn. Oh, he's trying to decide. Does he stand there and want to keep blasting it out? He knows at the end of the day that's going to get him. He's down to 4 movement. We'll just go ahead and keep blasting out. So he's going to stand still. Because he stood still on his last activation, he is a +1 to hit. So we're at medium range. Target lock allows him to do the guided missile and both the max. So we're at a base 7, 8 because of that. Goes back down to 7 with the Wizzo. Target computer makes it a 6. Because he stood still, he needs a 5. So he's rolling against 5s this time. Okay, so we have 2 7s on the max and a 4 on the guided missile, so we got no helper there. We needed 5s, so we're +2 on both the max. 5 and 2 is 7. This is where the damage makes a big deal because his armor is 8. He's got no penetration, so 2 hits, but doesn't go through. All right, where are we at on time, James? How long have we been going here?
It's 8:58, John,
Okay.
in the Central Standard Time Zone.
So I think we've kind of showed all the basic concepts as far as how combat goes. Anybody have any questions that we can help you answer, or can I do an example of something to show you something else?
I think Tiger Wraith said there should have been a shock roll in there somewhere.
For the guided missiles, yes. For
Yeah,
the
somebody
hits.
got hit.
Yes.
Somebody got hit with a guided missile. Should have been at least one shock roll.
Yes. Even though he didn't do damage, you always have to make the shock roll to see if you have been suppressed.
Maybe walk through that since it should have been part of that attack.
Right. On a guided missile, let's say he needed a 5, so he ends up and he rolls his 4, okay, or rolls the 5 exactly with what he needed. So we go through all those numbers again, and we see that it didn't go through the armor. But guided missiles have a special ability called shock. In this case, it's shock 4. So if I get hit by guided missiles, even though they don't do damage, I have to roll whatever that shock number is or better. So in this case, I need a 4 or better. I roll a 6, so I'm good to go. If I had rolled a 3 instead, then I would have been shocked, and then I get that same suppression that he got earlier for the damage, which means my next activation is I get a -2 to all my hits, and I can't move towards an enemy model.
Cthulhu 81,000 is asking for an example of a repair check.
A repair check, okay? In this case, let's go back over here to our green one. He's at 3 damage. He decides to spend his first activation to repair. It's a non-repeatable action, so he only gets 1 chance. We look down here, it has damage control at 3. Damage is a 4. He has to roll a 10 or better on 2d6 in order to repair a damage, and he gets that +4 as a helper. So we need a 6 or better, which in this case he rolls a 9. 9 and 4 is 13. That gets us over 10. He gets to repair a point of damage. So now he goes to 2 points. Then he can do his other action if he wants to move, do combat, whatever he wants to do. Very important, if you're in a game and you're trying to get somebody and you let them get somewhere where you can't get them easy and give them 2 or 3 activations back there to do some repairs, you may have a guy that you had on the ropes come back and make a big difference in the battle.
In my last battle, I played a friend of mine named Kyle, and he had a Revenant, a giant, super heavy thingy, and he just kept repairing it. His action would be repair and fire, repair and fire. And it was difficult to overcome. He was repairing about as well as I was damaging him because my units were all tore up at the end of the game.
Right. Especially if you can't keep hammering them for damage, or if you're down to 1 or 2 and you only can do a point here and a point there, yes, it can drag out. CAV is great for consolidating fire. You are much better off, especially in the early parts of the battle. You want somebody dead, you want to put 3 or 4 of your big guns on him and go for it and get him dead quick.
Bloody Lemming is asking for you to talk about critical successes with the repair roll.
Yes, if I had rolled 2d6s and got 2 6s, that's a critical success, and I would have repaired 2 points instead of the 1. Now, something also to remember about repair is you can never repair past that first point of damage. So after you've taken that first point of damage, generally in the game, you'll never have the ability to repair that. So he'll always have 1 point of damage. There is some upgrades and stuff that you can put in there for a repair unit to do that. But in a normal game, he will always have that 1 point of damage.
Chad, any more questions? Pretty close. It's just a little bit after 9. We've been on for about an hour. This is what John had in mind. Tiger Wraith wants to understand reinforced. Actually, I'm pretty sure Tiger Wraith understands reinforced very well, but yeah, I guess he'd like you to go over it.
Reinforced is when you are determining damage on the damage chart. So in this case earlier, when we rolled the 9, dictators have a reinforced 1. So that would have made that number actually go down to an 8. I didn't go ahead and go into it because it didn't matter at that point, but I guess I should have said something about it. But reinforced 1 or reinforced 2 moves that margin of success down on the critical chart. It doesn't always help, but if, in the case where it could move it from a 5 to a 4, you would only take 1 point instead of 2 points. It would change criticals, it can change successes, it can change crits. If you're exactly at 10 over, you would normally take 3 points in a critical roll. If reinforced 1, that would move it down to a 9. So that can make a big difference. It's not a big swing, but there's little times when it can help.
And reinforced can never eliminate damage.
Correct.
Right?
And even if it reduces it to 0, you're always going to take 1 point of damage.
So Colonel Kane is asking about out of ammo. Can you cover out of ammo real quick?
Right. Unlike other games, we don't actually track each individual shots or whatever. You have weapons in the game that have either ammo or limited ammo. The only time that comes into play is when you're attacking with that particular weapon and you roll 2 1s, critical failure. In the case of an ammo weapon, you roll 1d6. If it's a 1, then you have jammed, like in this case, which means he either has to, if he has ammo bin, it allows him to clear 1 jam. If he doesn't, then that particular set of weapons that use that ammo is out of the game for the rest of the game. Limited ammo is the same thing. It just runs out on a 1 or a 2.
Chandler Scott says he missed the beginning. He was told something about mini CAVCon.
What would be his particular question?
I don't know. Chandler, type in chat a specific question.
Yeah, because I'm not going to go over the whole thing again. I do plan on getting on Discord for a little bit, for a little after show that I can talk and answer a little bit longer. So if you want to jump on our Discord server after we sign off, I'll be glad to tell you what you want to know about mini CAVCon.
I mean, you know, I could ask questions for probably 3 hours, but the stream is pretty much over. So we'll save those for the next time.
Well, like I said, I'll be on Discord, on the Discord server here in a little bit. So if you want to jump on and ask me any specific questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I'll probably stay on 30, 45 minutes. But other than that, if there's nothing pressing, we will call our first show done. We would appreciate if you want to make any criticisms or things you want to see different or done, please let us know, either Facebook or later on Discord or whatever. This is a learning experience for us. We will get better. So that's all I know. It's the best I can do. So if we're done, we're going to sign her off and we will talk to you. I will be back on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock with the Terrain Tuesday. And I'll be glad to answer questions while I'm working and doing stuff there. So
just in case anybody here isn't already a member of the CAV Discord, I posted a link to it in the Twitch chat. You can click that and you should be invited into the CAV Discord, and then you can find the voice channels down there and go chat with John after the show.
Yep.
Make sure if you're not
S. Salyers, nice to see you.
If you're not followed to the channel.
Yes, and make sure if you've come to the page or to our Twitch and you have not followed us, please follow us so that you'll get notified when we are getting ready to do shows. Like us on Facebook, yep. All that good stuff. Anything else, Nate the Great, that we need to add?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Nate the Great says we're good to go. So I will see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.